The human face. We look for meaning in the human face. We look for acceptance, recognition. We look for emotion, beauty. We look for signs that we belong, ties to the past, hope for the future. We project who we are through our faces. There's something in my face that's Colombian. All my life, Colombians have approached me and asked me if I was Colombian. I would say no, I'm not, until I found out an important part of me was. I did not want my DNA tested out of personal curiosity. The inspiration came from a National Geographic special I saw years ago. They were doing research on our ancient ancestors using DNA. It was called the Genealogical Project. At the end of this special, they placed people on a virtual map based on their ancestry. For instance, if you had ancient Asian ancestry, you stood in Asia. I remember there was a black man who they placed in Europe based on his ancestry. I couldn't remember why, but I was fascinated by this and I wanted to contribute and be a part of the project. So I ordered my kit and waited 10 weeks for the results. So when I got the results, I was actually sitting on the couch and I remember I was so excited to click that it was like in slow motion me reaching for the link to click and get my results. I didn't expect anything extraordinary, but I couldn't wait to click. And I ended up being shocked. These were the most surprising results of my DNA. Haplogroup C1c. Location of origin, the Americas. This lineage is present in indigenous population groups in the United States, Mexico, and much of South America. Today, those from this line are most common in the Arsarios, the Embra, and the Ijika. So that means if I was in that special, I would not be in the African group, I would be in the Native American group. There's a rumor that part of our family is from Colombia. This confirms it. The Arsarios are Colombian Indians that are also called the Wiwa and are descendants of the Tairona. The Tairona were a group of Indians living in Colombia when the Spanish arrived. They produced fabulous figures in gold that helped to fuel the Spanish thirst for gold and the search for El Dorado. They lived on the Caribbean coast in Colombia. The sea has always been important to me. I don't feel at home unless I'm close. Looking at my footprints on the sand, I know that the women in my family have stood on beaches like this for thousands of years. When this information sunk in, I thought of two women. My grandmother, Carmen Aldana, who I found out was from Colombia, and our shared ancestor, a woman that was born in her own land and saw the arrival of the Spanish. Their arrival changed her world and the world of all of her descendants forever. To make progress, I had to find out more information about my grandmother. Colombia is a big country, and I did not have her full name. In Latin American countries, most people have two last names. I only had one. Again, I turned to DNA. I chose Ancestry.com because they have the biggest amount of people participating. I was pleasantly surprised to find my first cousin Crystal, and then everything changed. This is my first cousin Crystal. Her father is my biological mother's brother. They were both adopted and neither were sure of the other's existence. Crystal was teaching a college course on genetics and registered for Ancestry to get information for her class. She has a PhD in biophysics and is a college professor. I, of course, was looking for my grandmother. When I first saw Crystal's picture, I was stunned. I could see myself in her face. To me, we look like sisters. She looks like a younger version of myself. With her knowledge of genetics, I called her to get clear on what this haplogroup was that tied us to the people of Colombia. Unfortunately, the audio of our conversation didn't record. Sorry about that, Crystal, but she told me, as a woman, my haplogroup comes from my mitochondrial DNA, which is passed unchanged from mother to daughter. So my haplogroup C1c has passed unchanged among the women of my family for between 9,000 and 4,500 years. My mitochondrial DNA is also passed down to my son, and we just got the results back from his DNA test the day before. His haplogroup on his father's side originated in West Asia and is found in Kazakhstan, Lebanon, Iraq, and Southern Europe. The results caused me to question the concept of race. His father couldn't be any more Western European in appearance, fair with blue eyes, and yet his paternal line originated in Western Asia thousands of years ago. I'm interviewing my son about our family origins, and to spare his embarrassment, he's not going to be appearing on camera. What is your full name, Jordan?
Jordan Aldana Jeffrey Giles.
And why do you think you have the name Aldana in there?
Because it's your name.
That's a good answer. What do you think about me researching our family history?
I don't really care.
Okay. Do you remember some of the family origins that we have from our DNA?
Nope.
You don't remember any of it?
Nope.
Do you remember that your grandmother's from Colombia?
Yep.
So we just sent your DNA away, which is going to give a lot of information about you and your dad's like ancient DNA. So that'll be really interesting. And how old are you?
I'm 12.
Okay. That explains why you don't care.
Yeah.
Okay. My son is what can be called racially ambiguous. I guess what that means is that he looks like he can be from several different ethnicities. And I first heard that term from a modeling agency that spotted him and wanted to work with him because they felt like he could represent a lot of different type of people. I call him my little Spaniard because I think he looks like our ancient Spanish ancestor that sailed from the town of Aldana in Spain to Colombia over 500 years ago. He definitely looks like he could be a Colombian boy. He doesn't look like my son. He looks like himself. And I gave him the hyphenated name Aldana Giles because I thought at the time he might be the last in our line of Aldanas. But turns out he's not. There's plenty of Aldanas to go around. But I think he should be proud of the name all the same. Connecting with Crystal led me to the Trinidadian branch of our family. Our grandmother Carmen had moved there when she was 22 years old. I reconnected with an uncle, an aunt, and another first cousin, Shanice. Shanice shared with me the first picture I had seen of my grandmother. And when I first saw her face, I was really expecting to have a cathartic moment and see myself in her face. But we don't look anything alike. I couldn't see anything of myself in her face. So I was a little disappointed, but I know that she's mine, and she's the link back to my ancient Colombian origin. The photograph Shanice shared with me was from a passport, which had her full name, Carmen Sofia Aldana Valencia. I finally had her two last names. From this document, I learned she was born in 1922 in Chinacota, Colombia, a small town in eastern Colombia near the border with Venezuela. When she was 22, she traveled from the town of her birth to the island nation of Trinidad and Tobago, where I was born. So what's next? I'm at the beginning of my journey. I have just started to find out about my grandmother's life. I want to know more about the Tairona people and how do Colombians feel about Afro-Colombians like myself. My experience with them has been positive and welcoming. Every discovery is so exciting, and to think this all started with the DNA that's in my body and modern technology is amazing.